So Easter is just around the corner. And even if we're not religious, even if we don't even, believe in Jesus, I mean, for me personally, I have an experience, I relate to the frequency of the Christ energy of Jesus. So for me, that is a comfortable place. But even if you don't have a comfortable place with that, if we go deeper and we see the season we're in, and these seasons have been constant even before Christianity, even before structured religions, right? This is the time of spring. It's a time of rebirth. It's a time of renewal. It's a time of where the husks of the old and the dead from the last season has become nourishment for the new to come forward. So for me, this time of the year just naturally represents transformation, and you can say resurrection. In nature, the new blossoms, the new green, the new life forming, which has used the old life for nourishment, that is a resurrection of life. And now if I go to the teachings of Jesus, and if I look through the history of humanity, and I look to the frequency of thought and quality of being that he brought to the awareness of humanity, he brought the awareness of love and grace. These are my observations. Before that, love and grace was not a part of the equation of understanding our humanity or our divinity. It was simply eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. So Jesus, for me, brought in that higher octave of connecting to what is beyond the physical and the mind realities that, we cultivated and created to survive. For me, the teachings that Jesus brought are an example. He's saying, hey guys, there's more to life than just this primal survival dance. You actually have the capacity to rise into higher consciousness. And there's something called love, and there's something called grace. And when we decide to seek beyond our primal survival, a whole new world opens up. It's the kingdom of heaven. And what is heaven? Heaven is harmony. It's divine harmony. These are my observations and understandings, and how I myself have put together the different teachings around the world, because I've studied and really immersed myself in different traditions and cultures in my life as a way of my own trying to understand and put things together. Because I had an experience around the energy of Christ and Jesus when I was 7, and I wasn't indoctrinated. I didn't have anybody influencing me at all. It was just a moment of pain and sorrow, and I wrote about it in my book, Resilience, Grace, and the Art of Showing Up, that my little 7-year-old called out, and I felt a warmth, and I felt something enfold me. And what that did is it led me on this lifelong journey of understanding what was that warmth, what gave me comfort. I used the word Jesus. I called on Jesus because that's what this TV show I was watching said to do. But I know that, frequencies exist even before humanity discovers them. Life is life. This universe is unlimited in potential and possibilities. And we're really always only discovering things. We're not really creating things. We're discovering things, and maybe from those discoverings, we're creating new recipes for different things or whatever. But the essential ingredients, they're all there, waiting to be discovered by us. And so my life, I spent traveling the world, studying, learning different healing practices and everything, going through so many hard knocks that most people wouldn't make it through. But what brought me through was the remembrance and the feeling of this warmth that enfolded me. So for me, reflecting on Easter and connecting to that Christ Jesus energy, it's not so much about the religiosity, but it's about the frequency of this time of year and what it represents, and who am I, where am I in my journey in relationship to this? Where can I have a resurrection of more love in my life towards myself, towards others, towards world situations? The words today came to me talking to my husband. It's like there's a call for love. And what does love mean? It's not just the romantic love. It's the love that understands that every dysfunction, every pain, every harm that we've ever caused or that other people are causing, every distortion of our natural good human nature is a result of an absence of love. Feel that. The person you judge and condemn, whoever it is, in the family, in the world, in TV, movies, politics, whatever. Essentially, at the very root, wherever anybody is causing intentional harm and even unintentional harm, at the root is trauma, at the root is pain, at the root is the absence of love. It doesn't make it right. There's a lot of atrocious things happening in the world and in families and to a lot of people. And it's beyond our ability to actually really comprehend the whole layers of what is actually going on. But if we are to rise beyond the battle of dualities that we've been caught in for centuries, he said, she said, right, wrong, good, bad, all of that, and not to negate that those exist, but the way we relate to them is what the issue is. Not the fact that it exists, but how we relate to these contrasts in life and to these frequencies of harm and the people perpetuating that harm. So here at Easter time, the call for love, my invitation is, as hard as it is, but if we want to rise out of our suffering and if we want to be a part of creating a world with greater peace and greater understanding, greater kindness and greater compassion, it starts with us. It starts how we engage and interact in our own world. How much love are we actually giving to the life around us and the people around us? And how much is our energy directed towards condemnation and judgment? And I'm going to guess the majority, if there's honesty, you pay attention to your thoughts. How often during the day are you giving gratitude for all the bounty and the beauty of this world? How often are you feeding love, that love that sees beyond the stories and the lost in translations and the misunderstandings, but the love that nourishes and grows and heals? Because when we love somebody and we love ourselves, we heal and we grow. So what if we explore suspending the battle in our minds, the meanings we give to what we see in the world and others, and we pause and we take a look and just reflect and come to understand and to see, to witness that ultimately every person that's ever caused us harm, and I'm sure I've caused harm unintentionally in my life, and surely you have too. We all have, because we're all learning, we're all growing. We don't come into this life knowing everything perfectly. It's a process to grow and become and to understand ourselves. So if we see the places we've harmed people that we may feel guilt or shame around, or there's people in our life that we're judging because of the harm that they caused at any time in our life, what if for a moment we suspend the story that we've written about it, which, because it's written in pain, it's going to delete many things and distort many things and generalize many aspects of the experience. So what if we suspend all of that and we rise to a higher level? I call it the soul spective view, where I'm deciding to suspend the thinking that's keeping me locked in hate, locked in irritation, locked in frustration, locked in judgment, locked in the self-righteousness of all those things. Because really it's self-righteous, because ultimately we don't know. We barely know ourselves. So where do we take the authority to claim, that because there's a headline about somebody, or because there's a movie about somebody, or because I witnessed one moment of somebody's life, that I have the right to say I know, which I don't. The only thing I can do is I can say, who am I and how do I experience myself in relationship to what I'm witnessing and what I'm seeing? Who do I become? And what do I do with it? That's the only thing. I can't say that I know anything, even my husband, who I know so well, but I still can't lock myself in this idea of knowing him, because he's a universe that's evolving as well as I am. And there's always going to be new evolutions as long as we are on the path of self-awareness and discovery. So to create any kind of conclusion, and even over myself, I can't say that, because I'm also always evolving and growing. So when we can, step out of the stories that we've defined ourselves in, the world in, our family in, our loved ones, people, our nemesises, our adversaries and our situations, when we can take some deep breaths and just say, wait a minute, life is bigger than this. There's more. There's a broader force of life that is intelligent, that created me, created this, and created this world of duality, of contrasts. A hummingbird just flew by. Isn't that sweet? And if I think about that, I think, okay, so if there's laws in the universe like cause and effect, and laws of resonance, and laws of mirroring, laws of correspondence, laws of attraction, and those laws exist, they are immutable. So who am I and how am I functioning within these laws? And what I put out, I get back, and it amplifies. So Easter, coming back to the resurrection of life, the resurrection of love, the resurrection for me of our higher nature that does have the capacity to see beyond all the stories of suffering and harm and woe that we witness daily and that we've witnessed through the centuries of humanity. What is the cause of all of that? For me, in my observations, I think, well, how could we be anywhere other than we are at this day where there's like an overload of atrocity and pain? But when I think about it, I think, well, how could we be anywhere else? Because we've been living separate from that force of love and that force of good. We've been living in a way that, because we're locked in the mind of survival, we're perpetuating our pain and our suffering. And because we're perpetuating our pain and suffering, because our mindset has been hardwired to perceive a certain way and to perceive ourselves as victims of fate, victims of circumstance, that is at the root why we are experiencing the things we're experiencing today. And what does that mean? If we look back through history, it's an absence of love. It's the absence of experiencing love when we needed it most. And this is centuries. We're talking centuries of humanity. All the barbarianism, all the dark ages, all of this is in our DNA and in our biology. And it's only in these recent era, the last maybe 15, 20 years, maybe 25, where we're starting to unlock the understanding of epigenetics. We're starting to unlock the understanding of ancestral trauma. We're starting to understand that we actually have the power and capacity to regulate our nervous system when we learn how to do it. And when we do that, we are able to align with higher thought, higher frequency. We're able to align with love. And when we align with love, there's gratitude. And where there's gratitude, grace flows in. So for me, this is my experience of Easter. It's that resurrection of that love force within us and in all the world and nature, expressing itself as the never-ending blooming and blossoming of new life that was nourished by the old that has already decayed and rotted. And now the new life is coming in, and that's like shedding the old self, shedding the old beliefs, the old stories that do not serve us, that are actually keeping us in a longer winter than we need to be. Letting them go, shedding them so that we can let new life come in, new light, the resurrection of hope, the resurrection of love, the resurrection of feeling and connecting through the higher humanity of our nature, which is directed and governed by our soul, which is beyond our mind, beyond what we are able to perceive and mentally calculate in the terms of 1 + 1 = 2. This is way beyond 1 + 1 = 2. There's a grander force. And Easter, for me, is an invitation to pause and reflect and take an inventory of my life, and to also, with that, shed what I don't need that's not letting love in and love govern me, and to grow and amplify my love and my connection to that source. in humility and in gratitude. So this Easter, I invite you to ponder that, because self-realization doesn't come from reading doctrine or from following any kind of a religion or any kind of a teacher or guru. Self-realization happens by using what we learn from the gurus and the teachers and the religions, but using that to reflect, to find our own connection to this force, which is us and in us all the time. So reflection is the master key to being able to put the pieces together in our life and to find the answers we need and to connect to that greater force of good that is here to allow life and wants life to flourish. And death is a part of flourishing, right? Each year, the garden blooms more because there was the pruning and the death of the year before. So to embrace those cycles of resurrection in our own life, where parts of us are ready to die, parts of us are ready to shift and evolve into a new, more expanded and more elevated version of ourselves, of consciousness, of thought and perception. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode when I upload a video or a spontaneous recording like this. And if you're interested in one-to-one mentoring or healing sessions at my retreat center or online, you can please find more information and get in touch with me at soulspectivesinstitute.com. And exciting news! I'm launching a membership app focused on personal growth and healing, where you can enjoy weekly live Q&A sessions and receive weekly inspirational uploads and lots of other bonuses. If you're interested in becoming a founding member, reach out for more details. I'd love to have you in our community. You've been listening to Luana Victoria Arana, founder of Spective's Institute for Personal Transformation, #1 best-selling author of Resilience, Grace, and the Art of Showing Up, musician, mentor, coach, wayfinder, and explorer, helping women transform trauma into personal power and purpose so they can build their legacy of joy, fulfillment, and complete, full expression of self in their authentic, true nature. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Bye.